Hey guys, and welcome back to another one of our web technology videos. And today we're going to be discussing web frameworks. This video was specially done by Renee Stoddard, who did all its graphics and video effects. And today we're just going to be taking this video and do a voiceover so that we can discuss web frameworks. So, with no further ado, let's continue to web frameworks. So you guys might be wondering, what is a web framework? Now, don't be these guys here. We'll tell you what a web framework is. A web framework is simply a piece of software platform that develops web applications and websites. It's pretty simple. There's a collection of libraries and modules that can help you with the development process and able to create customized, scalable apps and alter existing components. It's not all that hard, now is it? Having said all of that, web frameworks facilitate a great starting point for a lot of local developers and even new developers, which in turn saves a lot of time, effort, and even money. Now that sounds pretty efficient to me, if you ask. I am the way your son don't need a gun. Speaking, there are two types of web frameworks, which are client-side and server-side frameworks. They also go by other names such as server-side rendering and client-side rendering. They both have different functionalities for different purposes. Now let's dive in to find out which and why we should use these different types of frameworks. Now let's talk about client-side frameworks. What do we mean about client-side? Wait, this guy again? Bruh. Seriously, man? We typically mean front-end frameworks, which are used for developing the user interface. And what we mean by user interface is the things that users see and they interact with on screen. Here are some examples of user interfaces. Example 1, a basic web interface with some pictures and some icons. Example 2, mobile interfaces such as iOS and Android. As you can clearly see, both interfaces have what you know as buttons, search bars, pictures, icons, and other GUI related components such as the nav bar and even arrows and whatsoever. These icons and these other different components help the user interface to be a lot more easier for users when interacting with. It helps with the user friendliness of the web or even mobile applications when developing. See, as happy as can be. Unlike client-side, which is responsible for the front end and works on the front, server-side frameworks works in the back end and ensure smooth functionality of the website and all its features. So you can think of it as a car that drives. But what causes the car to drive is the engine that moves and all the modules and processes that take place in the background. And for the engine to operate, you have gears working to ensure that functionality. Without these components working on the back end, there won't be anything to interact with or to work on the front end. You're basically going to have an interface with no functionality or whatsoever. Seems pretty useless to me. In the previous two slides, we spoke about web frameworks examples. Now here are the most top common web frameworks which are used today, which are Angular, Django, ASP.NET, and React. All four powerful, all four are very versatile, and we're going to see why we use these things for different purposes. Based on some statistics that was pulled, it can clearly be seen that React is basically leading the world in technology and development today. Angular up second, Django third, and ASP.NET fourth. React, again as mentioned, is the most powerful of all four, and it is greatly used in a lot of applications today to support business environments, social media platforms, and other technological environments these. Now let's talk about some pros of using web frameworks. Web frameworks allow easy debugging and application maintenance, reduces code length, improves database efficiency and proficiency, and reinforces security. These are a lot of great features that allows a lot of people, even developers, to spend their money behind it and make it rain for those things, because it's very difficult to maintain these four things and have a lot of different support for these different things. Where there are pros, there are also cons. Some cons of web frameworks include It deters the learning of the actual language, which means it makes it difficult to learn a programming language if you're using a web framework. It provides an inflexible programming paradigm, which means your directories and stuff becomes very large and inflexible to track. And finally, it hampers website load time. These are some stuff enough to make a grown man cry. But hey, the pros are outweighing the cons, which is something on the bright side. We spoke a lot about different things today in web programming. So here's a 30-second video on Angular, so you might be able to learn a few things here.
Angular, a TypeScript-based framework for building user interfaces. It was developed at Google and released in 2016 as the sequel to AngularJS. As an Angular developer, you hit the ground running with its extremely powerful CLI tool. When you generate your initial application, it comes pre-configured with routing, a testing framework, and your favorite style preprocessor. In addition, the magic ng-add command can turn your app into a progressive web app, add server-side rendering, Firebase support, and do a whole bunch of other cool stuff. But at its core, Angular is just a component-based UI library. I can create a component with the CLI, and if we go into its TypeScript file, you'll notice the component decorator, which makes this TypeScript class a component.
We touched a lot on web frameworks and what they can do, but not what can they integrate into. Web frameworks can integrate into cloud computing, and the Internet of Things, and even hybrid apps. These things are the next 40 years of technologies right here, and a simple web framework can touch base with that. This is to show how powerful these things are and why they are commonly used today for the things that they are